everyone, welcome to episode 1 of my career series where I talk to professionals. And today I'm going to be speaking with Gabriel, who is a big data engineer. I'm so excited to talk to him about his journey starting from a business analyst in the city of New York and how he got into Python, how he started learning about data engineering stuff. And it was very interesting talking to him. And I hope someone can learn from his journey today. Let's get into the video. Bye for now. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for accepting you're my first interviewee. And I knew that you were going to be my first interview. Like, it's going to be Gabriel because I get a lot of inspiration from you. You may not know that, but I remember how we met. You were doing a VBA at that time. Like you were exactly.
I asked you a lot of questions about Python there, remember?
Yes, exactly. I know when you started Python and now you're a guru, I would ask you all my Python questions. So I find you very inspiring, and it's not for the video or anything. Like, I'm sure I tell you this when I talk to you. Even your new job, how you just go around learning, teaching people, mentoring people, being a role model. You're one of my role models, especially in how you just take things. Like, I can be watching your story now and it's comedy for the first three stories, and next thing you go into something serious, and I'm like, how do you switch so quick from being that funny person to being that really smart person? And of course, like, it's really nice. Tell me, who is Gabriel?
I mean, of course, like I'm Gabriel, Olukunwalu for my last name. That's a little long. I'm a big data cloud engineer, and I juggle that between also doing like database administration on the side for like a local union I work with also, and also I have interest in other things like music, humor, hanging out with friends. I do a little sport like I play table tennis, ping pong. I really enjoy that. I think I'm really good, but most of my friends don't agree I'm good. But yeah, so what else? What else? I'm the first child of my family. Do you guys want to know my age? Okay, let me see. I'm actually 29. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm old. I feel so old, man.
I grew up in Ibadan, so I had to say Egbon. I can't call you by name.
That's why. Yeah.
What did you study in school? How did you get into big data engineering?
Studied economics in school for my undergrad, of course. I did economics. I started off here for my undergrad. I did like 2 years in Nigeria. I went to Ife. I think I told you that for OAU. That's where I started from. So I spent 2 years there. But coming down here, I started over from like my part one or like 100 level, something like that. But I was able to just find my way around spending 3 years. I was trying to save money and I just wanted to leave school very fast. So my next I went to Stony Brook University. So my next move then was to just go do a PhD in economics. I wanted to teach. I wanted to become a professor of economics. That was the truth. But I applied to my top schools like Columbia. I tried Columbia. I tried what other school was that again? Cornell. They did not accept me for PhD because I had no research experience. I had good grades. So I had to like settle for masters. So I went to City College for my masters. But then thank God I did not get accepted into PhD because I finally found out, oh, I don't think I wanted to do economics. I'm more of a very practical person. I want to do something and I want to see the results. And thank God for me getting introduced into data in my second semester of grad school. So we got introduced into data, and I was doing econometrics. So we were dealing with large sum of data like that had to do with like government making decisions for macroeconomy. So we had to like manipulate data and stuff. So there was a tool we started with R. I think I once told you about R, right? So I started using R, but I wasn't really good. I wasn't sure of exactly what I was doing then. But I found more interest in manipulating data, big data, and then I just wrote one code and then things happened. I found that very fascinating. So I was drawing a little. I'm like, after this grad school, I think I really should learn how to code because our professor was telling us the importance of coding in data if you want to do data in economics. And then got so good, I found a job with New York City then just to start working with Excel as a basic reporting analyst. So that was when I got introduced because I found myself doing the same thing over and over again. So I was just Googling like, why would I do this thing? Is there any other way to do this thing so I don't do it over and over again? Because I'm lazy, but my laziness leads to productivity in a way. So that's when I, research and try to find easier way. So that was when I got introduced to VBA. And VBA, I feel like VBA was my first love, and it just blew out everything. And then from then, I was looking more into like other languages like Python, and that was when I first saw your Instagram and I saw you code. I'm like, oh my god, like let me eat this person up. And I was asking you questions about Python. I remember you told me you were the first person that told me to use Spider. I was for real. I was really inspired that time. Like, oh, Spider, which one is Spider again? Okay, I installed Spider. So I started. So that's really like how I got into the the area of data, and from there I became a business analyst. And the business analyst parts, because they saw my background in data and I was willing to learn. I was building access database on my own, like just learning from YouTube. And from there, when I became a business analyst, I had the opportunity to work with SQL Server database, and that was another level for me to, work with databases. I think I once dropped a database, but yeah, yeah, I got in trouble for that. But they knew there was a backup. So I feel like there is this saying that you've not graduated to be a real developer if you've not dropped a production database. But I did drop one, but thank god there was a backup. And it was just part of my exploring, and it wasn't like the worst experience, but yeah. And then I moved into, I think from there I got hired as a contractor with Microsoft. I did that for like some months. And then doing that, I got bored of doing, because I was using Python very often then. Not because I had to use Python, but because I was trying to create problems for myself so I could replicate everything I did in VBA in Python, such that I can force myself to learn Python at that time and get results and deliver to my boss. So after that, I got really bored. I'm like, I need to learn more things. So I got introduced to cloud. So I was learning cloud and servers, all those things. And before you knew, I got an opportunity with WWE to work for them because I had a good data experience too. And that's why I always, I think having a good background in data would kind of help you generally in IT. So I got the opportunity and I worked with WWE till like around now. And now I'm transitioning into like now implementing the data part of me with the core experience of server administration, operational management of cloud services, and roles and all of those things, and now merging it together with data. To now I'm like a big data engineer.
That's really cool because like from the story, it's like you've tried a little bit of everything in the IT industry, and you're like that's, I don't even know how to put it, like you have an idea of everything, so you can sit in a room and like kind of give different views, like you understand all the views, and that's really cool. Like that's amazing. So did you have to do any certification, or did you have to do anything, like would you say that your degree helped you in getting a job? For those people that are out there looking for something, how do you get into this big data engineer?
Oh well, I would say for one thing, the degree is one discussion on the side, and the certification is another discussion on the side. Personally, I'm not speaking generally, but I still don't think my degree helped me to get to where I am. And I'm going to talk from the knowledge perspective. From the knowledge perspective, the only thing my degree did for me till now, I would say, especially my masters, I feel like the masters was just more like just get a master's, and but it's there. But like the undergrad portion, I think it's just more of something that pushed me to understand my limits and know how far I can go, and discipline in terms of waking up early for classes, and meeting other students across the world. And I think that was really what that did for me. And the opportunity part of it is just more of like, not because I studied economics or because I did data in economics, but because I just have a degree. Like, I feel like if I had a degree in, let me see, in English language or any other thing that is not related to IT, I feel like it still wouldn't change a thing about me getting a job or not in IT, as long as I learned what I needed to learn, get the right experience, and then do certifications. But the certification part is that really helped me, and The only certification I have up till now is just solution architect associate. I've wanted to do more, but I have not found the need to do some other ones except for like the unofficial ones I've just done for the sake of just doing them. And right now I'm preparing for another certification, which is in data, of course. But the area of getting into cloud IT space, I think certification is it gives you edge over others. Not like it's necessary, but if you have 25 candidates that have clearly almost the same qualification, and the only thing you have is a certification, maybe that might make you outstanding. And I think that's the only way certification helps. But I feel my certification still carries more degree than my master's, and I will say it anywhere. So from that perspective, certification.
So if you're done a master's in something else that wasn't economics, because econometrics kind of gave you that intro to data, but if you're done something that was not economics at all, let's say you did a master's in public policy, for example, which is not necessarily data based, would you still be able to have transitioned into big data engineer? And I ask because, like, someone that did a any degree, can they just go into this field, big data engineer field?
Yes, they can go into the field 100%. And the reason I'm saying this is because I have a lot of friends, not two, not three, not four. Talk about like tens of friends I have. They went from like say biology, some went from like matter of fact, some even have associate degrees, just in like maybe liberal arts. So what is the most important thing that I feel from my experience and that I suffered but I kind of conquered is the area of actually, you know, actually the learning part of it is the biggest thing because I have people that did computer science in school and when I was doing my economics they were doing computer science and today they probably don't even do computer science again because maybe because they feel like oh this is not my thing or but I feel like right now the job market has actually learned from what I know to actually not necessarily discriminate. So most times you see job descriptions that says either a computer science degree or an equivalent experience of like 3 years in that field. So meaning they understand that going to do the job for 3 to 4 years can pretty much equate you to like meeting up the standard of doing what is needed to be done if you don't have a degree in it. So that's yeah, it's not necessarily you don't have to have a computer science degree at all. Yeah.
So, but you have to make up for it somehow. So, how did you do that? Like, was it from learning online, or like, tell us, like, how did you have to make up for that difference as someone coming from an economics background to, as against someone coming from a computer science background?
Okay, so what I did during my time was I did a lot of I would say okay, first of all, I had no one to guide me, so that was my biggest challenge. However, what I did was for everything I needed, I had questions to. I did my research online. Honestly, I would tell you, Google and YouTube, I feel like they are so underrated. Like we're not even using up to like 10% of the information we have online. Like you can learn anything you want to learn if you have internet. That's what I know. However, another good thing is having someone you can like you can always talk to. I'm trying to learn this thing. Oh, but however, you must have one way or the other, done your own work and like like for instance you would not come to me to ask me you want to learn about cloud or servers without you even going to the internet to even know what it is. I'm not going to introduce you to what is this, what is data, what is Excel. I expect you to do your own part. I did a lot of independent works by myself. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I didn't just stop at one video because the thing, and that's part of the things I learned about learning. It's when you're learning, you don't necessarily get what you're learning at first, especially when you're getting introduced to something. Like the first time I ever learned about maybe how writing code works. It was like Greek to me. Everything looked weird. I didn't know what was doing, why we did what. I just kept going with the flow till I got like everything got synced inside of me. Then I started doing use case on my own, And then I started finding ways to connect with people via, even on Instagram. You can actually use. I have been so desperate that I use hashtags to search for people that are into what I do. I can go to my Instagram now, if you're making good use of your Instagram, and hashtag data, hashtag AWS. Well, I'm going to find people that have used that hashtag because that's what they do and they're just posting about. And from there, I'll find someone that does AWS. Boom. Maybe or more than one person. I can send them a message kindly, ask them questions. Of course, I want to tell them what I already know before asking them what I want to know from them. So that's another way of connection. LinkedIn is there, even Facebook. Talking to people. So that was what I did after I did my research. Then I was learning different ways I can do different things. And that was I grew on my own. I never had to pay a dime. I mean, at some point I did trainings, I paid Udemy classes, all this, linking up with people, buying people that are helping me, buying them gifts, things like that. So there are ways I actually learned, and I created problems for myself by assuming I'm working. So I just get whatever I learn, I try to apply it. I give it to people that can evaluate them for me, and that's. I think I asked you questions too. You helped me when I was doing Python, so it's something that you're familiar with. So
That's I like that, the urge to learn as well. Like I feel like that's something that we should all adopt and like try and make sure that we're doing, like always learn. And I also learned that from you. Like I remember when you wanted to start Python, like you disturbed me till I helped you with the initial setup. Exactly. So I really like that. What I'm hearing is that if you want something, like you have to do all the check everywhere you can, use your social networks very well. And I really like that. That's how I once I found LinkedIn, I don't play. Write I would read out what I wrote. Would I accept this message if someone sent it to me? Look at the person's background. Can this person answer my question? And I just learned one. Use the hashtag. I've never thought about that, so that's really cool. I'm going to do that. I would use that for sure. Um, one of the things that people ask me this all the time. What language should I learn first? What language is the easiest to learn? And my response is always, what are you trying to do? Because I can't tell you what language to learn. So how do you answer those questions? Because I'm sure you get even more than I do. So how do you like, or is there an answer to the question? Like, how do you answer that question?
so like I think you pretty much said the same thing I always say, because I feel like and I understand, because I was at some point I was like that too. Like I text people I know are doing well in anything that sounds like what I want to do, and I just ask them, oh, what language should I learn first, what should I do first? And the question they always ask me, do you know exactly what you want to do? Because if you're trying to do cyber, because some people are confused, and confusion in this case doesn't mean like a word of attack. It's just what it is. You are confused. Anyone can be confused. So it's like, if you want to do cybersecurity now in your mind, you want to do cybersecurity. First of all, if you come to me, I'm not even a cybersecurity guy. I don't know anything about cybersecurity, but people think if you do IT, like, I feel like if my grandma was still alive, she'd probably be asking me, oh, to fix laptop, something like that, fix phone, something like that, because the idea of someone doing IT is like, oh, you can do anything computer. But IT is divided into different areas. We have the security portion of it. We have security and networking. We have cloud. We have data. We have a whole vast area in it. So depends on where you're going. Like, if I'm going to speak from my own angle now, which is data and say cloud, data in cloud, and how we work with those, what I would advise is, as stupid as it might sound, especially for someone that doesn't know, someone that has no background, zero background in data or IT. If I say people should learn Excel, it sounds like, Excel, like Excel is like a basic. Honestly, Excel is way more than what people think it is. So Excel has gone way beyond that, and I always tell people to start with Excel. And even you can program in Excel, which is formula. Writing formulas is programming in a way. It's just not like a language, but the same logic of writing if conditional statement in a cell, things like that. So once you start having ideas about how data works, how VLOOKUP, those little things, how to do like summaries and pivot tables, you start getting an idea of, oh well, when you get to SQL and you want to write a condition, it's pretty much like having a filter. And when you're trying to write things like joining, is like you are doing a VLOOKUP based on certain keys. So I always advise people to start from Excel. Then after Excel, the best thing to do, or the variable thing I would say, the way I always train my approach, is to then start looking towards your intermediate Excel. Start looking into SQL. That's after your VLOOKUP. In SQL, I mean, of course, they don't call SQL a language, but it's structured query language, whatever that is. You can still have the feeling of programming. It's fine. And from there, you don't even have to be a pro in SQL. Then you can move into like Python, I would say. Honestly, I don't think Python is that crazy. I don't think so. But I mean, of course, you can get to the complicated part, like writing loops. But it's everything starts from like the scratch at the end of the day. So someone jumping into Python without any knowledge of data, it gets frustrating. Trust me. Like I've been there, so I try my best to not make people go through what I've gone through, because if I started the right way, I was just finding my way around, and I had to go back and go, back and forth. So graduating from that Excel intermediate, after like the VLOOKUP and pivot table, into like looking into SQL. SQL can be learned in like weeks, trust me, if you put your mind to it. Then after the SQL portion, let's say you move into like Python, you start learning Python. Now, what you can now do learning the Python is to do the same task you did in your SQL and Excel. A very good instance is, I can tell you, I have a data in Excel. Find a way to import it into Python, and then create a filter in Python, which is pretty much, just, you can even Google it, like, because people also think you have to cram codes. No one, I don't cram codes. Like, the only codes I have in my head are the ones I've used over and over again. For the most part, you know how we do it. We Google things we have no idea about, and we figure it out. So it's always about creating problems. No one knows everything. So from after Python, honestly, those three things we will you will find a balance in them, because at the end of the day, when you get into the real world, you would have gone through facing problems, because your work don't even care whether you've done the type of work they want you to do, your new job. They only care about your ability to actually see problems and how you approach them. So that's why in most interviews they will ask you, oh, how would you solve this question? Not because they want the right answer from you, but because they just want to understand the way your approach, your level of reasoning. Even if you don't get it right, your approach alone can get you the job. So I would say Excel, as basic as it might sound, Excel plays a very big role. And then into SQL, and then you can pick up Python there. And from there, honestly, you just need to keep looking for more problems, creating complications, linking up with people that are good. So surround yourself with people that are smart. Don't be the smartest in your.
True. Exactly. Yeah. So second to the last question, or second to the last thing. So this one is I hear you talk about different parts of IT, and yours is big data engineering. Can you just give us a little snippet as to what you do in your day to day? So when you get to work, you sit down, you do X, Y, Z. So someone who is thinking of cloud, let them hear it now if it's something that they'll be passionate about, or they're like, no, I'm out, I'm not going to do this. So, yeah.
So think about, you have a company. Then in your company, you deal with sales transaction, processing orders, and all those things. And like Amazon, for instance, if you work for Amazon now, every minute there is a specific number of, or not specific, there can be any number of orders that come in and people that order. Now, how do you keep track of the orders? Can you imagine um how many, I don't want to say API call, because I'm trying to explain to probably someone that doesn't know anything about what I'm saying. So think about how many people are clicking Amazon.com and ordering something every second. Now, those information are needed, for instance, to make decisions. Say now, the way Amazon knows how many, what to advertise more, what people are buying more, what they need to put more pressure on. How would Amazon know? Well, Amazon does not want to wait until after the end of the month to now say, oh, let's go check the entire orders. Now, Amazon probably wants to get each click, each orders that in real time, like right away, they want to get it processed into a table. So the way it works is, think about, as you click and order something, whether you buy it or you don't buy it, it just goes somewhere. The information goes into like somewhere, like a, we'll call it like a container or like a table about that activity. So think about someone now sitting down, automatically monitoring those activities, and then doing like a little summary, like how many people actually during this pandemic, for instance, between a certain period of time, or no, between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. At the end of the day, that person sat down and said, okay, how many people ordered um something that is related to health? How many people order something that is like tissue papers? So that way, if they see like, oh, I think we're having a lot of orders for tissue paper for the past 3 days now, maybe we should actually do something, increase the demand, no, increase the supply of that, find a way to, like, we don't have to worry about the advertisement again. So it sounds very easy, but it's not easy, because those data would not go into like your physical computer. Those data would go into like a machine that is like a virtual machine, we call it, like that is in the cloud and has very huge, yeah, huge capacity that can process those information in real time. And I'm not talking about gigabytes of data. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about terabytes. I'm talking about petabytes of data. They are huge. So that's why it's practically called big data at the end of the day. So think about how you would process those information in a secure environment. So that's the challenge, because you don't want people to know what you're doing. At the end of the day, you don't want to expose it to the world. You want to do it within a virtual private network. So if you figure out what is going on now, we already have the issue of having a virtual machine, which is like a computer in the cloud. And that cloud is like a virtual private network, which is your own chunk of, say, Amazon. And inside that space, you want to stream your data, which people are doing from outside world. So it's a lot of complications, because you are dealing with data, you are dealing with a virtual private network, you have to do the security part, you have to do codes like Python codes that will process them, transfer them, you have to do error logging. And that's pretty much, I don't know how simple that sounds, but even if it sounds simple, it's not simple when you're doing it.
It doesn't sound simple for sure. It sounds like you need a lot of experience and a lot of work. But like you said, if it's something that you're interested in, you find a way to get there, right? So that's really good. Good. So what advice would you give to someone that is coming into the field, that is like, okay, you know what, I've listened to Gabriel and I think this is something I want to do. So what advice would you give to them?
Time. Find a time. See, I always tell people, like, this thing is not about, because people come to me and they say, oh, I was the smartest in school, I had this GPA, I want to do this. I'm like, listen, it's not about being smart. Smartness is another game. It's going to help you, but the time you put is very important. Like, you need a significant amount. I know someone is already thinking now, like how many hours? Trust me, I really cannot say, but there is something about consistency. I understand. Like, if you continuously do something every day, even if you spend 1 hour and you do it every day, at some point it becomes a part of you. So the discipline to keep going in that consistency, I think that's the biggest deal. So once you can overcome that area of you not even needing someone to tell you, go practice, go look into this, learn that, I think you'll be fine. And by the time you start, you can spend 8 hours coding, you can spend 8 hours learning in data, and you won't even know time has gone, and all that. So you just need to find that time and the consistency. And I think the time and the consistency is the dedication part of it, and discipline kind of like caps everything.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gabriel. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and answering my questions and being a part of this. Like I said, you're my first interview, and I'm very, 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 very honored. Like, you are somebody that people should look up to.
I appreciate the platform.